Right, Gary. Well, Governor Henry vetoed the measure, but it looks like the people will get a say on a voter ID measure anyway.
And lawmakers from both sides of the aisle weigh in on President Obama's trip to Europe last week. Here's Scott Mitchell with Your Vote Counts.
Well, rare is the day that something happens at the legislature that everybody's happy about. I mean, Democrats have got to be pretty pleased. The governor of the state of Oklahoma, we all predicted he was going to sign that voter ID bill. He did not sign that voter ID bill. What did Democrats take away?
Well, I don't know. We didn't have a chance to talk to the governor because the second he vetoed it, the Republican right over here instantly, I'm talking within seconds, ran Sue Tibbs' bill up the flagpole to send this to a vote of the people. Voters, you'll have a chance to vote on this. That's great. My Republican friends have decided that anything that we don't like, they're just going to send it all to a vote of the people. Your ballot's going to be about 20 pages long. It's going to take you all day to vote. Whenever he sets this thing, so take a day off. There's no voter fraud in Oklahoma. This reminds me of the old poll taxes where you had to go check that list. 78,000 people in Oklahoma do not have voter IDs that are citizens. Voting is a constitutional right. Forget about the ACLU. He's going to pander to the right wing of the conservative Republican Party, so here we go.
Well, let's see those 78,000 turn out to vote. The question is I think we've talked about it for some time. Oklahoma's not voter fraud central. So why do we need a voter ID bill?
Well, how would we know if there's been any voter fraud when we haven't required people to prove that they are who they say they are when they go to vote on Election Day? Scott, Richard, I don't think that that's too much to ask to protect the integrity of our voting system. There is absolutely no empirical evidence whatsoever in the other states that have this that it actually suppresses voter turnout. In fact, voter turnout in those states went up. And by the way, guys, politically, I got to tell you, this is absolutely beautiful when you open the front page of the Oklahoma and it says the ACLU praises Brad Henry for vetoing that bill. When you see ACLU and Brad Henry veto, you got to know that you're in the wrong company.
Well, this is debate because 2000, Bush, no fraud. Gore, fraud. So we'll have to see about that later. Hey,
right.
This official English bill is starting to dominate the headlines now. The official English bill, why do we need in Oklahoma an official English bill, and where's it at?
Well, I think the central reason why we need an official English bill here for Oklahoma is to prevent somebody from demanding taxpayer-funded services be delivered to them in a language other than English. I think everybody's familiar with the example of the Iranian couple in Bartlesville demanding that a driver's license exam being given to them in Farsi. We didn't accommodate them, and the thanks that we got was that we were sued. So this is certainly a litigation preventative measure. And by the way, we've got representatives, Tim Schultz from U.S. English, who's down here in the state of Oklahoma actively lobbying the Senate. We expect that the vote will be brought up sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Red meat issue for Republicans? We need this?
That's all they do is red meat issues, by the way. We're going to have the first budget meeting sometime this afternoon in months. They didn't do English only. They haven't worried about overcrowding in the corrections department. There's problems. DHS is still a farce. They gutted Peters' bill that I tried to reform. They won't address the real problems in Oklahoma. My friend over here has tried to, he did gut a bill in Judiciary the other day, got mad the other day because they wouldn't do it in another committee. This guy has got English only on the brain, folks. You're going to get a chance to vote on it, and I'm sure Oklahoma will. But the problems that remain in Oklahoma, DOC, health care, education, jobs, unemployment, they won't deal with it, and they refuse to deal with it.
It sounds like you're upset, but I'm going to get that official English done.
Well, good, fine, because we won't get any other problems fixed in this state. Low graduation rates, health care, et cetera, et cetera. You'll get your English only. I hope you feel better at night.
Okay. Well, somebody's angry. Hey, let's turn it to something else. Trouble for Republicans. This story about Senator Coffey keeps changing. Now television, Dave Jordan has done 4 stories on a story that probably should have been done on 2 stories if they'd cooperated. The point is this Coffey thing, is this partisan politics, or is a real problem on the Senate side?
Absolutely not. It's not partisan politics at all. Whenever Democrats got in trouble, whether it was Gene Stipe or other people, they were all over the place. They went and died, sent them to jail. Senator Coffey has had problem after problem. In January of 2008, he had a big birthday bash over at a big expensive steakhouse downtown, cost almost $5,000. He got reimbursed for that, spent almost $100,000 in travel last fall, wanted to get reimbursed for that. He can't handle his own business. Now we find out that he's going after the Director of Corrections because he asked for a report, and all the Director Jones was doing was telling the truth. It's retribution with Senator Coffey. He needs to step aside and get some new leadership over there, because you would agree with me, Representative, it's going to start bogging down some of your stuff.
And we went through this last year. Is this a repeat of last year, what happened on the House side, on the Senate side?
No, I don't think it's a repeat of last year. And listen, I don't think Senator Coffey ought to step down either. It's true that he's had some personal issues. Let he who doesn't have problems with his personal paperwork cast the first stone. Richard, that wouldn't be you. And I've got to tell you that listen, it's frequently like the painter's house.
You want to get into personal issues? How about bankruptcy? How does that sound? Does that sound familiar?
It's like the painter's house that goes unpainted, guys. The reality is that sometimes he's let let some stuff slip through the cracks. He's apologized for that. The reality is that those who live in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones, Richard.
Likewise, buddy. Let's talk about your bankruptcy. You
I have
talk
a
about
really
that?
fun job. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Down. All right, now let's turn to international issues. The President of the United States goes to Europe. Give us your review, because he's getting a lot of criticism over the things he said about the United States and also about religion.
Well, listen, I think that the G20 thing, fine. Basically, it's internationalization of the economic system. That obviously is problematic and causes me serious sovereignty concerns. Beyond that, I think Obama has stumbled in the rest of his overseas visits, pronouncing the fact that the United States is not a Christian nation, clearly overlooking the fact that the majority of the people here are Christian. That is our heritage. That was our founding. And then the latest thing, which is the alleged bow to the Saudi prime minister, whether it was a literal bow or not, the question is whether or not he's figuratively bowing, kowtowing to Muslim interest and threatening the interest of America.
How does the Democrat rate the president's performance overseas?
Well, let's say this much. There's a new president in the Oval Office, okay? The voters of this country, Oklahoma accepted, voted overwhelmingly for a new change and a new tone in Washington, D.C. Instead of yelling at our enemies, whether it's Korea, Iran, or Iraq, a more conciliatory tone instead of the hate, meat-feeding anger that this fellow over here wants to say. We're so insecure that we can't talk in moderate terms. This president is going after the villains in Afghanistan. And by the way, Representative Terrell, if you want to talk about personal issues anytime, let's do a half-hour show on this show, and I'll go toe-to-toe to you.
All the Obama kowtowing gets missiles launched in North Korea.
Right, fell right in the ocean. Don't try another stunt like that.